Go.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight with us as our school community will share with you their course and classroom expectations for this school year of 2021. Before we start, I would like to inform you that this session is being video streamed and it will be submitted to your homes tomorrow. I'm João Arruda, the principal of the school, and I would like to welcome you all to our grade 6 open house. The school home connection is extremely important in a child's education, especially now that we have some students that are not present in front of us daily and some students that attend the hybrid model. So communication is key. Our faculty and staff is always willing and open to communicating with you and about your child's progress or challenges. Teaching and learning is very different these days, and we have to make adjustments to better serve our children and bring them a brighter future. So this faculty and staff in front of you tonight has worked tirelessly to make that happen. And I would like to publicly thank them for their job, for their efforts, and a job well done. As you probably have heard or read, it does take a village to educate a child. So please allow me to introduce some of the village members that have a daily impact on your child's life. And please let me start with my Assistant Principal of Teaching and Learning, Mrs. Lisa Goodwin.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. I manage all matters pertaining to curriculum and instruction. Some of these include professional development, planning, and coordinating for our teachers and staff, overseeing the instructional coaching, and our professional learning communities. I also oversee our testing, which includes our STAR universal screener given 3 times a year, as well as our RICAS testing and NGSS state testing for science that's given in the spring. Using the data collected, I oversee the organization and management of our data meetings with our grade level teams, as well as our academic target teams for reading and math.
Thank you, Mrs. Goodwin. Director of Student Services, Mrs. Storm.
Good evening, everybody. I am the Director of Student Services at the middle school. Within my capacity, I oversee bus transportation, student expectations and discipline, as well as attendance. Working with the student support staff, I also oversee the behavior target team, which is part of our multi-tiered system of supports at the middle school.
Thank you, Mrs. Storm. And Mrs. Mishno as the Student Support Specialist.
Good evening. I'm Michelle Mishno. I'm the Student Support Specialist. I serve as a part-time administrator and guidance counselor. I am our Building 504 coordinator and serve on several teams, including the scheduling team, the state testing team, guidance, part of the leadership, and student support team. I'm here for you and your child with any questions or concerns that you may have as we navigate through our middle school years.
As part of, thank you, Michelle. As part of our student support, we have our school psychologist, Ms. Clark.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Clark. I'm the school psychologist here at PMS. I work with students in grades 5 through 8. My work involves supporting students' learning and behavioral needs. I focus on social emotional learning within individual and group counseling sessions. I also work very closely with not only the student themselves, but with their families and their teachers to best support them to be successful not only in the classroom, but also socially, behaviorally, and emotionally. And I also am responsible for conducting the cognitive and social emotional evaluations for special education eligibility.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Ferrier, guidance counselor for grades 7 and 8.
Hi, everyone. I'm part of the guidance team at Portsmouth Middle School, serving as the 7th and 8th grade guidance counselor. There are many things that we do in the guidance department. We have contact with students, parents, teachers, and administrators, and often serve as liaisons between all four parties. We also are liaisons to the special education and 504 teams on behalf of students. We coordinate career exploration activities and also coordinate standardized testing, including RICAS and NGSS. We are also implementing the individual learning plans for all students in grades 6 through 8. ILPs are a dynamic mapping tool that tracks academic plans and reflects each student's unique set of interests, needs, academic, and career goals. We also monitor students' grades and test scores for class placement and educational services. We orient and schedule new students to the building and transition students from elementary to middle school, as well as middle school to high school. We provide individual counseling on a short-term basis, and we also work with private school recommendations. I look forward to working with you and your child over the next 2 years.
Thank you, Ms. Ferrier. Ms. Sheehan, our school social worker.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bailey Sheehan. I'm the school social worker at PMS. I'm a support in the building for students, and I assist with behavioral, emotional, and social needs. I run small groups throughout the school year and meet with students either as needed or individually. And I also work collaboratively with other members of the support team and with the classroom teachers.
Thank you, Bailey. Mrs. Perry for the Planning Center.
Hi, everyone. My name is Beth Perry, and I am a special educator in the Planning Center. The Planning Center is for a select group of students at Portsmouth Middle School in grades 5 through 8, students with social, emotional, and behavioral goals. I work closely with these students and coordinate with teachers, their families, and other service providers in order to help them be as successful as possible in the classroom. I'm looking forward to making the best of this very different year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Perry. And Jake, you can move on to the very next slide. We have Mrs. Juarez, our teacher librarian.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jillian Waugh, and I'm the library media specialist at Portsmouth Middle School. On the slide, I have my email and then the link to the library page. All of the library policies and resources are on that page. And I teach library and digital citizenship lessons for all grades. I see all the kids in all the grades. So this year, grades 7 and 8, those lessons will be taught remotely on distance learning days. Book circulation is different this year as well. Students will not be able to come to the library. So I thought it was important that they could still get books. So I've taught them how to log into their library account and place holds. They will do that as a request for books they want, and then we will pull the books, check them out, and deliver them to the classroom. If they're distance learners, they can still get books from our library. They'll just, it just requires a parent or guardian picking them up from the front office, and that day is Fridays. Book return would be Fridays as well. And if there's ever a need, on a different day, you can always email me. We also do some troubleshooting for the Chromebooks while the kids are at school. And I just wanted to put a plug in for the technology assistance page on the website. It's on the homepage. It's also under the For Students channel and the For Parents channel. So there's some good resources that will be helpful to parents and students as we go through the year. If there's any trouble with Chromebooks or technology, check there first, and then you can always reach out. And that's it. So thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Watt. The very next slide, please. And I would like to introduce Miss Kindness, and she's our PTO treasurer.
Hi, everybody. Even though this year is so different than any other year, we just wanted to let you know that the PTO is still finding ways to be creative in supporting our children and teachers in the classrooms any way that we can. Last year, we were able to provide teacher grants to help fund items that weren't necessarily in the district's budget. We were also able to help with class celebrations and also to make those milestones memorable for our students, with some different things that we did for 8th graders, like cinch stacks and awards banquets, and purchasing books to those students who had authored books as well. So just really trying to stay involved that way. And then this year, we're also looking towards hosting virtual field trips as well, and then some other creative ideas. But of course, the only way that we're able to do this is through funding that's provided through our fundraisers. So right now, our fall fundraiser is still open through Friday, which is the 16th. There's 3 ways to donate. One is going to be either the purchasing of Mrs. Fields cookies that we do every year. We also have the donate a bag option, which is $16 to donate a bag to families in need in our community, and the middle school gets 50% of profits from that as well. And then there's also the Boone Supply, which has lots of really fun, cool things for like reusable bags and gifts and tech items and things like that, which are gonna, come in handy around the household as well. There's also a jack-o'-lantern drive-through that we're hosting on the 29th, and it's just a suggested cash donation to drive through and see all of the creativity that our students and our local community will be donating through those jack-o'-lanterns. But other than that, I mean, we'd really love you to join our meetings. We have one a month. The next one is this coming Monday, the 19th, from 6 to 7 p.m. There's a link to all of the stuff in the last email that just went out today. But like I said, we'd like to have you there just to give us your ideas and help, have a voice in where your money that you donate goes towards. So we'd really like to have you there. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for all the efforts that you and your group make every single year in order that our students have extra within their day. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next slide, I will introduce the teachers from the 2 learning centers. In the Learning Center C1, we have Miss Eden Yukon as our ELA teacher. We have Mr. Anthony Rivard as our social studies teacher. Miss Kristen Borges is our math teacher, and Miss Kim O'Neill as our science teacher. Mr. Roja teaches ELA and social studies, and Miss Tucker teaches math and science. In our C2 Learning Center, we have Mr. Spotholz as the ELA teacher, Ms. Camara is the social studies teacher, Ms. Gardner is the math teacher, Ms. Malone is the science teacher, Ms. DeRosa, she teaches ELA and science also in that learning center, and so does Ms. Megan Tucker teach math and science also on the C2 Learning Center. So if we start with the math teachers, please.
Jane, did you want to start? Jane, you're muted.
Do we want to go on to the next slide and then come back to math?
I don't mind speaking towards math. I think Ms. Gardner unfortunately is muted, but I don't mind speaking on behalf of the math. I think she might be unmuting herself right now. Okay, for the math, the websites that we'll be using this year are Google Classroom, iExcel, and Savas Realize. Savas Realize is the same thing as our math program, which is the Envisions program. They've switched over, it's been bought out this year, so our books say Envisions, but online work is Savas and Realize. The major focus for this year for our 7th grade is going to be integers and rational numbers. So throughout the entire course of the year, we'll be covering concepts that incorporate integers and rational numbers. We'll be looking at number computations. We'll be dealing with some algebra and pre-algebra functions. We'll be doing proportionality, geometry, and data analysis and probability. This year, when you look at Aspen, you're going to notice that we're dealing with a point scale system. And what we decided in the math department this year in 7th grade is that we wanted to put more emphasis on our assessments so that it allowed us to put point scale systems. When you see the assessments logged into Aspen, you're going to see that they're either between 20 to 30 points, depending on how important the skill is that we're covering in that time and how much time we spent covering that topic. You're going to notice that the IXL is usually 2 to 3 points, and then the Envision Realize work is around 10 points each time. So as you look through the grades, the great part about using the point scale system is it allows us as teachers to put the points higher on things that we feel have more emphasis, but at the same point converts it into a percent that parents and students are used to seeing. Ms. Tucker's going to talk, who teaches with math with both Ms. Gardner and I will talk about the playlists and the notebooks.
Thank you, Ms. Borges. Lastly, we wanted to mention that each day there will be a playlist posted on the Google Classrooms. That playlist will have a sequence of assignments the students should complete that day. We encourage the students to check off the assignments on that playlist document as they go, as a way to help them keep track of what they've done and what they haven't done. And lastly, the notebooks. Most of their math work will be done in their notebook. For the hybrid students, we will check these notebooks when they come into school. For the distance learning students, we will check them digitally. And the notebooks is where all their math work should be done, and we encourage the students to keep them neat and have titles and dates on their pages so it's easy to go back and see the work that they've done. You can go to the next slide, please.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the 7th grade units of study. I'm Kim O'Neill, one of the science teachers. Our main science units of study this year are going to include Earth and Space, which is the Earth, Sun, and Moon systems and how they connect. We're also going to be looking at Life Science unit, which focuses on connections in the ecosystems and cause and effects on populations and biodiversity within those ecosystems. And our last unit that we will be doing is the Physical Science unit, and this is going to focus mostly on energy transfer and molecules, and it'll also be focusing on the chemical and physical properties of matter and classifying matter. Ms. Tucker is going to talk about the teacher availability.
I also co-teach in the science classes with Ms. O'Neill and Ms. Malone. And for teacher availability, we just wanted to mention that we're always available via email and Google Meets during class time. We will frequently have the students on, take attendance, do our lesson, explain the assignment, and if students have no other questions, we'll let them sign off to do the assignment. But the Google Meet, we will stay on for the full class time if they need to pop back in to ask questions or to review an assignment with them. Next slide, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Thea Malone. I'm the other grade 7 science teacher, and I'm going to talk to you about how the students will be learning a lot of this content. There's going to be a lot of virtual labs, a few more during the hybrid learning, but they'll still be used throughout the year. There's some great ones available to us out there, like the Gizmos or PhET. They'll also be doing a lot of simulations, especially in our Earth and Space unit, as it's not something you can really touch and have in the classroom. So we use simulations to experience it. Modeling and diagramming will be a big part of what they do this year. There'll also be a lot of writing, for example, CER writing, which is a more formal way of writing science analysis, where students make a claim, support it with evidence, and then give the scientific reasoning behind it. We also do a lot of discussions, both informal and formal, that have some structure to it. And there will also be a big focus on data analysis. And you can see there's down below are just some various sites that we're using right now for the students to experience science through. You can go to the next slide.
Hello, I'm Kyle Spaltholz. I'm the 7th grade ELA teacher for C2. I'm going to talk about our units of study for this year. We always start the year off by going over the elements of fiction as a review, and currently we are in the midst of our social justice unit, which focuses on current events with nonfiction, and we focus on historical fiction with our anchor text Roll of Thunder. So that's going to be coming up soon. Then we transition into our drama, fiction, and then our author study. And then we'll be coming back to historical fiction with the Middle Ages, and then ending the year up with our Champions of Change project, and then a reading of memoirs. And then I'm going to let Ms. Yunkin talk about how we're going to address the skills and the standards in those units.
Hello, my name is Eden Yunkin. I'm the ELA teacher in C1, and we've got the units of study on the left-hand side, and the skills that we'll be focusing on while we conduct these units of study are reading, and through that, we'll be looking at literature and informational texts. Another skill that our students will be focusing on is writing, and through that, they will work on extended responses such as essays, short answers, and also journal prompts. And another skill that they will also work on throughout the year is language through the practice of grammar, activities, vocabulary study, and Greek and Latin roots. And I will let Mr. Rozier finish us off on our ELA slide.
Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Rozier. I, as you know, co-teach ELA in both learning centers. So the final skill or standard we'll be looking at and assessing is speaking and listening, and we will be creative with this year, doing some oral presentations with hybrid students using Flipgrid, which students have had exposure to already, which is a great tool to allow them to record themselves and see themselves speaking. And we will also use other digital media options as they become available throughout the year. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lori Camara, the C2 Social Studies teacher. I'm going to start us off with our beginning of the year content with World and U.S. Geography. We're currently practicing map skills and reviewing the 5 themes of geography. The next unit we'll move into shortly is the pre-Columbian civilization and cultures in the Americas, both North and South America. We'll take a look at those ancient civilizations and introduce the next social studies teacher, Mr. Rivard.
That would be me. Thank you, Ms. Camara. After we are studying Native Americans in both North and South America for a while, we're going to transition to a focus into European culture and history during the same time periods that we studied the Native Americans in the Americas. And we start with the fall of Rome in the Dark Ages, where Europe takes a couple of steps backwards. We continue that momentum forward into the Middle Ages, with a couple of big focus being a couple of foci, there we go, or focuses being on the Crusades, the power of the church, and the effects of the plague. And then that leads us into the rebirth and the reawakening of education and the arts and the Renaissance, which is then a perfect transition into Europeans becoming curious about the outside world, and they start exploring and trying to get new trade routes to Asia, and then they stumble upon the Americas. And in doing so, we then focus on the exploration of the Americas, the interaction between the natives and the European populations. And we end the year with the colonization of the New World as the European powers start to carve up what was once controlled and dominated by the Native Americans for centuries on end. I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Rozier, who also teaches with myself and Ms. Camara. She's going to talk about some of the skills that we are going to address as well.
Hello again. So as we move through these units, we will be making sure that we are teaching and reinforcing comprehension with reading strategies and pre-teaching and reteaching vocabulary. We will do various note-taking strategies where students are trying to pull out the main idea and details, giving a topic. And finally, we will be doing some more formal writing, responding to nonfiction text, and writing in the style of informational or argumentative writing, where they have to support their argument with evidence from the text. Thank you. Next slide, please. Oh, it's me again. Okay. So as you know by now, myself and Ms. Tucker, we are co-teachers in the 4 core academic areas. So we have some of your children in ELA, social studies, science, and math. And we provide educational services to students with IEPs. However, we are there for all students in all of our classes.
And student progress will be sent home quarterly, just like the report cards are, and meetings regarding student growth and progress will be held virtually this year. Next slide.
Hi everyone, welcome to Middle School Life Skills. I'm Julia Dawson. I'm a paraprofessional and working as a student teacher in the Life Skills classroom. The lead teacher in Life Skills is Miss Teresa McGinnis. In Life Skills, every day we work on reading, writing, and math skills, as well as self-determination and social and emotional learning skills. I'll turn it over to Mr. Aruda.
Thank you, Julia. And in closing, I would like to thank you for being part of our virtual open house. And I also would like to thank Mr. Steve Costa and Mr. Jacob Karen for being there for us once again as the tech experts, the guys behind the scenes that make everything work for us. Thank you guys again for being here tonight with us. And as a school community, we do pride ourselves in providing the best service possible to you as parents. So, and that starts with me and my open door policy. So please seek the opportunity to have a conversation about your child. And I'll be more than happy to reserve a time in order that we can discuss his or her education. Thank you, and you have a great night. Thank you for being here with us.